Hey everybody, welcome back to YAFTV. It is Wednesday, February 28th, 2024. I'm so glad to be back with you here on the channel. We're going to get into so much, but I'll start with my disclaimer. This video is for entertainment purposes only. It is protected by the United States Constitution protecting free speech, as well as the Sullivan Act and reporting. It is not intended to bully or harass anyone, never to incite violence or hatred or lawlessness of any kind. It doesn't give legal, medical, or financial advice, and there are further disclaimers in the description below. So I want to just say how glad I am to be back with you here on the channel. I want to say thank you so much to everybody who supports the channel monthly and individually. You make it happen, and so I'm so grateful. And I also want to plug my awesome sponsor, which is c60evo.com/YAFTV. Use the code YAFTV for 10% off. And I'll let people know that I give away 2 bottles of C60 Evo organic olive oil capsules every month to a random supporters, randomly selected of the channel. And once you support the channel, you get 15% off on C60 Evo. And this is the great inflammation fighter. It gets into your cells. It gets into your mitochondria. It gets deep, deep in there to clean out the garbage, to absolutely make it possible so that your cells can regenerate, so that it can cross the blood-brain barrier and help your neurons function. While we're fighting the crud, this is a great tool. And it also is just great for inflammation of any kind, whether an athlete or somebody suffering with arthritis or all of these inflammatory immune dysfunction conditions. You can use C60 Evo to help combat that. c60evo.com/YAFTV. Use the code YAFTV for 10% off, or contribute to the channel, get 15% off, and get entered into the giveaway, because I think we have tomorrow's the last day of the month here on leap year. And so there's going to be, of course, a couple days if you want to get in on that giveaway. Okay, thanks for listening to that plug. I've got weird lighting situations. Let me see if I can combat that a little bit. Okay, so I might have some weird lighting, but we'll try to make this work as best we can. Let's see if I can do a little better. Okay. All right, so the reality is today is massive. We had so much going on, oh my goodness, in the last 2 days. Politically huge, right? We have McConnell stepping down today. Very interesting, with his sister-in-law dying in that strange accident that happened there on the property there in Austin, outside of Austin, a ranch owned by the sister who died. She's the CEO of Foremost Group, hugely connected to all the ports, all the Chinese funding. She is dead, right? And now, it's been a couple weeks or about 10 days since that death happened. And now we have Mitch McConnell stepping down as leader of the Senate. And he has held that position for the longest term of any Senate leader in history. And this is huge because, for one thing, term limits, term limits. We need term limits. Because he has blocked everything that has to do with populist government taking back DC since he has confronted Trump and everything going on there. So very interesting to see him stepping down. He's 82 years old. It's time. It's time. And, even while Trump will be president in his 80s, this guy has gone through, minor, major strokes. He's had multiple problems, and now they've been. We had Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, meeting with him and Schumer and Biden in the White House, and Hakeem Jeffries all, jamming out what is going to be a new CR to keep the government going. Past Friday, which is, not so good, really. But it's very monumental to see that Mitch McConnell is stepping down. He is saying that he will perform his duties through the election, and won't be leaving until January of 2025. We'll see if he lasts that long. We don't know. People are dropping dead all the time since the genocide of the V. And so we'll see what happens there. But, it's very interesting to see the trifecta completed of getting rid of McCarthy, getting rid of McDaniel, Super Tuesday, next Tuesday, we get Super Tuesday, and she'll be out, and Lard Trump, with the other, the guy, I'll talk about him in a minute, to lead the RNC, plus now McConnell stepping down as leader of the House. This is huge, and I think it's a we the people moment that this got done, and it's all because there's massive pushback by we the people against this globalist deep state government, and they're feeling it, they're feeling the pressure, it's happening, and we don't know what this had to do with Ronna McDaniel stepping down, or what it had to do with, McConnell's, sister-in-law passing away in the pond in her Tesla on her property there outside of Austin. We don't know what all this is meaning, but we have so many signals, okay? Literally, there is this situation where now, okay, we, as I talked about Vice Grad meeting there yesterday on Tuesday, we had Slovakia, Poland, Hungary meeting, all to talk about, this spending on the Ukraine war, the situation with soldiers going in to Ukraine from NATO, all of it. There's been huge pushback where now they're saying to Macron, how dare you say that we're sending soldiers, to fight in Russia? It's not happening. Huge Sweden pushback, German pushback. Everybody saying, no, we're not sending soldiers. And now what do we get? And this is huge. We get today this reality where they're basically saying Russia won the war. They're saying that now we're moving into a rebuilding Ukraine. So on some level, I think through this Vice Grad thing, really, that happened that I discussed in my last video, where we had those multiple leaders, Slovakia, Poland, Hungary, all meeting and saying, you know what, this isn't going to work. We're not going to allow you to push troops through Poland, Tusk, you completely, Ponzi scheme, whatever. We're not going to allow this to happen. Instead, we're going to go for what John Kirby put out through the media today, which is that they are now in a rebuilding phase, okay, the Build Back Babylon Better Baby phase in Ukraine. So what they're saying is now, remember how it was, the $100 billion that U.S. had seized of Russia's assets. What they're saying is that, no, you're going to, we're going to take that $100 billion of U.S. Treasury bonds, okay, that's going to completely tank, okay, the U.S. being anything to do with the dollar reserve currency, and we're going to make you pay more money on top of that, billions more from Russia, to come to a ceasefire and to come to an agreement so that Cartel Babylon can go into Ukraine and build this transhumanist CBDC society with agriculture owned by Gates and Cargill and Monsanto to build all of the infrastructure of the beast system. You pay us, and then you keep the Donbass, you keep all of your port access, everything you need in the Baltic, everything you need in the Black Sea, that you're going to have that if you just pay us a ton of money. So now it's the bribery against Russia. We're going to seize your assets. We're going to take it. Give us some more money. We can placate all of our oligarchs, in NATO. There's not just Russian oligarchs, not just Ukrainian oligarchs. There are the wealthy elite. Well, you can call them monarchies, but they are the families, the elite rich in Netherlands, Belgium, Switzerland, okay, in the UK. Give us our money, and then we're going to use it to build back Babylon better in Ukraine, and we're going to then end this thing. And so that's very huge, right? Because it's, at the same time, we have in Texas this massive, what looks like a huge directed energy weapons assault in Texas, where there is 250,000 acres burning. And if you're this is northwest Texas and southern Oklahoma, they've had to shut down a nuclear weapons manufacturing plant over this. 250,000 acres burning. There is not a tree there. Okay, if you drive through there, which I have done a gazillion times, there are no trees in West Texas. Okay, there's nothing to burn except cattle. I mean, that's just it. What you have in West Texas is factory farms, tons of factory farms of all of these poor cattle stuck in these mud zones where they're being processed for, your McDonald's. Okay, and it's awful. It's disgusting. It smells awful. And if you ever go there, you're within 50 miles of it. You can smell it, but you go by them and you just see all these animals sitting there like in awful conditions. And they're the ones getting burned. So they're probably killing tens and tens and tens and thousands of cattle in Texas right now. I'm going to put it out there for entertainment purposes only, a DEW weapon attack. There's no way there could be a fire burning across northwest Texas. They just think you're stupid, that you don't know that there's no trees, there's nothing to burn. It would be like burning, tumbleweeds and just grass. There's nothing there to burn. So the fact that there could be a fire happening that is 250,000 acres is insane. It's not natural, and it is directed energy weapons for entertainment purposes only, absolutely geoengineered and made to happen. We had last week, of course, the spy balloon, whatever it was, from whoever over Cheyenne Mountain there and over the Denver massive installation underneath the airport there. Whatever they were doing, right, with the AT&T phone, hack or shutdown, EMP, selective. They're testing all their stuff. But this thing in Texas to kill the cattle. If you see the videos, I'll try to link some below, where the cattle are like running for their lives. It's apocalyptic. I'm sure those were the smaller farmers just trying to save their cattle to have them run east away from the fire. But it is horrendous, and it's awful, and it's all part of it. And so while we look at all of this, what went into it, why is now, we're being told, oh, we're going to end the war now. We're going to end the war in Ukraine. It's going to happen where, that crazy Macron said, where we're going to put troops in. No. Now we're going to end it. So something big happened, I think, with the Vice Guard. I think there was huge discussions that we're not privy to, that something happened in that meetup with the Czechoslovakian Prime Minister, Slovakia, Hungary, and then Poland, Tusk, where there was something, because that was yesterday, and now today it is, no, we're going to seek a settlement with Russia. We're going to seek a way to end this so that we can start building in Ukraine, right? There's 100,000 children missing from Ukraine from this whole situation, not to mention the hundreds of thousands of dead of the soldiers on both sides. And, now we're seeing that they're going to do this. And what does it mean? What does it mean? While they're shutting down a nuclear weapons manufacturing facility in Texas with these massive wildfires that obviously didn't start from somebody dropping a cigarette or, having a campfire. No. This is crazy town, apocalyptic, directed energy weapons, absolutely, in Northwest Texas. And so let's move on from there and just talk about a couple of things to do with this. We had Navalny, dead last week, and that was like a huge, shot across the bow, Putin this, Putin that. But what's really interesting to talk about is that, we had some interesting stuff coming out where you have Navalny apparently died of a detached blood clot. Okay, did he take the shots? Whatever. in any ways that they can weaponize and use that. But, now it's being said that Navalny died of a detached blood clot that gave him that aneurysm in the brain. And his wife, who showed up at the Munich Security Council saying she's going to continue to do his work, she said that, she had visited him in the prison the day before he died, and she gave him some food and a vitamins packet. And then he died the next day. And so it's very interesting because, Navalny was supposed to be traded for Victor Bout, okay, or Boot, or however you say it. Victor Bout, the most dangerous man in the world, the arms trafficker. Victor Bout, who's now in the hands of whoever, we don't know, probably the Wagner Group, I would say, and, probably chatting daily with, Alexei Vindman out of Trident Corporation. They're hanging out in Ukraine. Alexei Vindman of the, the call with Trump to do with Zelensky and all that. Him and his brother Yevgeny, the twins from Odessa, the orphan twins from Odessa, Little Odessa, they're in New York, Staten Island, sent over from Odessa. And his brother, Yevgeny, is now running for, I think, Senate in Virginia. But Alexei's still over there with Trident doing tons of trafficking for entertainment purposes only of all the weapons that were, given supposedly to Afghanistan, and all of the weapons and all the crap that we're paying our taxpayer dollars to send over. And so Navalny supposedly dies from a detached blood clot after a visit from his wife with a vitamin packet. We don't know, for entertainment purposes only. But she says that she's going to continue his work. Was he dead? Was he not? We don't know. But we do know that there was an attack against Tucker Carlson, a planned assassination against him, having to do with the same guy, Budanov. Well, no, for entertainment purposes only, don't know that for sure. But Budanov, who I've been talking about, he worked his way up through the Ukrainian, secret intelligence, and very, very way back during the Maidan coup, right? The Maidan coup, and we're right here in the couple days around the 10th anniversary of the Maidan coup, and also the second anniversary of the Russian invasion there in Ukraine. And I think it's interesting to kind of check this out because, we look at Budanov, he basically, we're seeing even in the New York Times reporting where there is this, they're literally putting it out there that the CIA are heroes because they kind of executed the Maidan coup. Don't look over here at Marie Yovanovitch, who, was the ambassador to Ukraine. Yovanovitch, she's not Ukrainian. What? Don't look over here at Open Society's foundation. No. It was the CIA that was operating all this. And what they had to say in the New York Times even was that the Ukraine operatives started stepping out of line with their outlined roles ordered by the CIA. I mean, this is crazy. And Budanov, of course, rose through the ranks at that time. And he basically, from my understanding, was that involved in the killing, for entertainment purposes only, of the head of the Ukraine intelligence forces back in 2017. And this had to do with a car bomb assassination by Budanov. And this had to do with what was then called the Unit 2265 that went rogue, okay? And Unit 2265 that Budanov rose up through. And I think it's interesting that the New York Times is putting this out because Budanov didn't assume the role of taking over the head of the military there in Ukraine. He did not take it over. He stuck with being in intelligence, and he rose to fame and claim and got his position supposedly in connection with this death of his predecessor in 2017 in a car bombing. And then we hear that Tucker Carlson had a car bombing attack that was shut down in Moscow okay, by that, let me find this guy's name. I got to find him. Where this guy was, this is, again, Simon Atiba. This is out of Today News Africa, the assassination attempt on Tucker Carlson in Russia, where in January, right before Tucker Carlson was supposed to do his interview with Putin, there was the capture and stopping of the planting of an explosive device in his vehicle at the Four Seasons Hotel in Moscow, where they had planned to take out Tucker Carlson, and instead they had to probably throw Navalny under the bus to be dead, if he's dead, and make that an international issue. But basically what this kid said, well, he's 35 years old, he's not a kid, Vasily Pyotr Alexievich, he was the one who was supposed to plant the BOMB in Tucker's SUV in the parking garage there at the Four Seasons in Moscow. He said, I was ordered by the main directorate of intelligence of the Ukraine Ministry of Defense in November 2023. I would be paid $4,000. And this interchange of the explosive device happened in January, and the Russian military counterterrorism unit supposedly picked him up, and that's what happened there. So all very interesting in the continual, almost boring at this point, situation of how they're trying to create FEFEs to this World War III rollout, whatever way they want it. If they can save the world now and say, oh, now we're not going to have war, and we pray that they don't, now they just want the money because they haven't been able to get the money. That's up to you. Okay, 202-225-3121, huge with getting McConnell out, huge with the 3 Mick win, McDaniel, McConnell, and of course McCarthy, getting them all out. And that's up to us because we've been doing heavy lifting, making those calls, using the billblaster.app.org, all of it. They can't get the money. So they're like, well, okay, maybe we stop the war. We get all the money from Russia. We liquidate the assets, the $100 billion that we have seized in Russian assets and treasury bonds. We liquidate that, give it to all of our players, all the crony corporations, the PPPs, the public-private partnerships in Ukraine, doing the new transhumanist cartel Babylon creation of the transhumanist society there in Ukraine, and we get Russia to pay us more money, and then we shut this thing down, and they get to keep Donbass and all the Russian Russian allegiant areas that they have conquered. And so it'll be really interesting to see what happens. We'll go on from there and see where we go. Okay, so I wanted to mention a couple of, there's more politics, but there's a lot to say. So one thing is it's looking like there's a bunch of informed whispers out there saying that Tulsi Gabbard just might be the VP pick for President Trump. Now, this is huge. People always, want to malign her because she was temporarily and shortly involved with the CFR, the Council on Foreign Relations, and the World Economic Forum tried to claim her as a member, but she really wasn't. These were, rookie mistakes that she made. And, I'm not defending her, and I have no interest here one way or another. I guess I just don't want to throw, the baby out with the bathwater, that we need to kind of see if this woman is legit. Everything she says is legit. CPAC, very, very interesting. She very much defending the U.S. military, wanting to get dye out of the military, the diversity, equity, inclusion crap. We just now hear today that the Army has terminated 3,000 special operatives positions in the Army, saying that the Army is turning away from counterterrorism intelligence and doesn't need 3,000 special operatives. That's huge because there's also like a 24,000 recruitment deficit in the United States Army as well in the last couple days reported. And, this is as, like literally and specifically in Rashida Tlaib's spot there in Minnesota and, or is it, and Ilhan Omar's, specific spot there in Michigan, that they have the most, according to FBI, reporting, the most amount of people being recruited for radical Islamic activity in the country. And so they're shifting away from counterterrorism to have to do with Islam, but that is reshifting towards what they're calling Christian nationalism, and it's getting raked through the coals and claiming that people who are Christian and want to save the USA are somehow extremist groups. And that's happening huge. We have a new book out called White Rural Rage, and it's nuts. It's insane, but that's literally what they're pushing. Let me talk about it for a second. Let me find it here. White Rural Rage, okay? In the MSM, all they're talking about is Trump's spectacle of cruelty, and that it's all about retribution. They're just pushing this whole thing that they're doing. Everything that MSM says, just reverse it, and translate, and you get exactly what they're doing, okay? Because this White Rural Rage book is like basically setting up for all of the, I think it was in Houston the other day, Houston, Texas, where the Soros-funded DA there, she's been wrecking everything to do with, law and order in the Houston area, where you have, that massive settlement of illegals, huge property where it's like basically a huge town outside of Houston, where it's cartel run, all of it. You have that going on, and in Houston, they just canceled, basically suspended, like something like 236,000 violent crime cases, okay, of people, majority illegals that were rapists, armed robbery, just violent. This is gangs. It's gangs, and they're suspending those. Those people are walking free, and this is while they're getting prepared to do what is, of course, the planned invasion goal, which is, of course, to subject the U.S. population to this kind of ongoing violence that we're seeing across the country. And this is, of course, historically, you're looking at the kulaks back in the Bolshevik Revolution, where you had the Rothschilds. Jacob just died 2 days ago. And good riddance. And then but the Rothschilds paid something like 150,000 Jewish identifying people to come to Russia, back to Russia, after they had, you get into HIAS and the Hebrew Immigration Aid Society, all of this laundering of people, human trafficking, all of it happening now on our border. Well, back then it was, funneling back and forth between Russia and the Bolshevik Revolution. And what did they do with Stalin and Lenin is you had the attack on the kulak farmers. These are small holding farmers that had, basically in Ukraine, grew all the food, right? Same thing with South Africa, with the Boers growing all the food, with the attacks on the rural, problem. The rural problem. We have this situation where this rural problem is, the white trash, okay? The white trash that they want to take out. And, the same thing happened with of course, Mao Zedong. That's who they went after with Mao, was you go after the farmers, go after the food, and then you get your struggle sessions, right? And so that's what's going on with that side of it, is we're looking at a situation where they're trying to create this facade, this propaganda machine of white rural rage, like the book is called, and blame this on Trump, saying that he is after cruelty with retribution. He wants cruelty with his making people get deported, and he wants, to have retribution against all of you, you liberals out there. That's his plan, and that's his goal, and it's complete lies, and it's what they do because they're lying liars. And Satan, of course, is the purveyor of lies and spreader of lies in order to execute what is, of course, demonic forces coming on to this plane of existence and taking over the minds of people, and they're using technology to do it as well. And so when we look at this shift from soldiers going into Ukraine and everybody being rebuked for even suggesting it, now they've made a huge new financial deal. And in my understanding, my belief is Putin's completely in on it, completely, fully doing it as well. It's an agreement. It is something that has to do with the shifting of, they're like, Putin, okay, it's to his advantage to say, yeah, go ahead, take that $100 billion you seized in Russian assets, liquidate it, give it to Ukraine, give it to whoever, Gates et al., Cargill, Monsanto, give it to them. And that gives me every more reason to absolutely get off the dollar as the international standard for trade. It just completely supports BRICS. It completely supports getting off the dollar. And so what they're saying is, oh, it's going to be, a ceasefire. We're going to come to an agreement now. No, this is about destroying the dollar. And it only aids Putin. Putin already had done all of the futures oil and gas agreements with China and India. The futures agreements on these products, he probably knew in advance that the Nord Stream 2 pipeline was going to go down. He knew in advance these things because he had already sold them in futures to China and India to make trillions, hundreds of billions of dollars, okay, on these sales that were going to come later. And so this is what is 5D chess. It is looking forward, and we might want to do that on our side too. We might want to look forward into the quantum future of what is it that we want to happen. Envision it, parallel economies, parallel civilization. We need to think bigger in the ways that these people do, because they are orchestrating our demise outside of these news tidbits. They're thinking bigger, doing bigger, and they're all in on it together, including Putin. They're all in on it together. Okay, well, they shut down our nuclear weapons production there in Texas with an apocalyptic fire right now happening as we speak. And so I'm just going to mention a few more things. I'm going to keep this a little bit short today. We have, I also wanted to mention this situation of Plandemic.com. Plandemic.com, we have the great Mickey Willis. He's such a great guy and producer of excellent movies to do with destroying the narrative of the COVID crap. But now he's come out with Plandemic, the musical. And I love this. Plandemic, the musical by Mickey Willis. You get cameos in there of like Judy Mikovits showing up. Like it's brilliant and it's great. And they have something called replatform.com, where they're trying to get to advance populist culture, advance culture against the globalists, and to put forth that we can take back culture and we can be entertained and also be energized by that entertainment. And so I believe it's replatform.com, but I'll link it below. They have a Vegas event coming up in Las Vegas. I think it's March 9th, where they're going to launch the musical, Plandemic, the musical. I think it's brilliant. I love this. And we just love these ways that how creative humans are, that we can educate people through entertainment, contrary to the CCP, the CIA, everybody with Hollywood coming back. We see all the Christian movies being so popular, all of it. And so let's be part of it. Let's support them. And I will link it below in case I got something wrong there. And so I'm only going to go for a couple more minutes here. We've seen, people who, are literally, off their minds on drugs, like Zelensky, I would say Joe Biden, people who are completely just addled, all right, just off their minds. Today we had Hunter Biden doing Zelensky in his most recent videos. He just looked like he was completely tripping, like just addled, like on Adderall or, meth or something, where, we know that the pharmakia is, fuels the Antichrist, what fuels the basically creating a vessel for demon occupation. Okay. And when somebody is so off their heads on drugs, that's when the walk-ins come in and the demons come in, and Zelensky is just full bore there. He is off his mind, bombed in these videos, and it really reminded me of Lucifer's legions being released when we see Zelensky, who is it was on NBC 2 days ago. I'll try to link it below so you can see. It reminded me of like Hitler, in the Battle of the Bulge, which led to the demise, right, and the turning of the tide there in the Battle of the Bulge in World War II. You had Hitler asleep for 2 days, because he was so off his head on methamphetamine. He was asleep for 2 days. His commandment was, you cannot do any military operations without my permission and approval. And they couldn't wake him up because he was so off his head from meth. And that's kind of what we got here. That's Biden. That is Zelensky. This is who we're dealing with, is a bunch of demon-possessed, drug-addled people. And that is what we're dealing with. So, there's that. And so I'm going to wind it down a little early today. I wanted to talk about a couple things more to do with fighting the effects of the jabs, because it's just so informative. Again, out of Maria Z, zmedia.com, Z-E-E-E, and triple E, media.com, and the great Maria Z. Well, she had Dr. Anna Milhosia on her show yesterday, and it was so informing again, because I was talking about lithium the other day. Speaking of people drug-addled with no ability to methylate anything, they don't call it meth for anything. The meth, what they call the drug meth, it destroys the methylation process, but that also happens with vaccinations. For entertainment purposes only, it happens with the jabs, not just the most recent ones, but the ones people, children get, and has caused all the autism and Asperger's and all of it. Well, what Dr. Anna Milhosia has said is that she had many more recommendations about what can help to kill the nanosensors in the body, the lipid proteins that protect them, and all of this. And so I want to talk about that. One thing to understand is that your gut health is key. And once it gets destroyed by these shots or by glyphosate in the food and all of this, but especially the CV jabs, is it kills the bifida bacteria in the gut. And this constant communication between your brain and your gut is so huge that you have to proliferate those bacteria, and you have to take really great probiotics. I really like the ones at globalhealing.org. That's my go-to, but if you need to support brain function because you're suffering from some of these neurological disorders coming from the intended, what the shots were intended to do, then you need to do this. And so what Dr. Milhosia was saying is that the metal particles in the body from the shots and also the geoengineering that's raining down on us constantly, huge amounts of fly ash. We're dealing with huge amounts of aluminum, barium, strontium, all of it, cadmium. She says that these particles in the body are what can be read. They help the satellites, and we think of Musk and the Starlink. Tomorrow I'm putting up a video with a NASA scientist, aerospace rocket scientist. We'll have a little different take on these things because she's in the belly of the beast. But just to say that, while we look at the satellite interrogation of our bodies and the Internet of Bodies, they can pick up, they need those metals to be in the bodies along with the sensors in order to have that satellite connection in this Internet of Bodies. Okay, and what Dr. Milicia has said is that we can cut the antenna using a chelation of getting the metals out as well as dissolving the technology. And so I wanted to mention a little bit of what she said. I've talked before about methylene blue. This is something that is it's man-made. It is a dye, methylene blue, but it methylates. It gets in, you cross the blood-brain barrier. It takes the garbage out. Very, complementary to C60evo.com, which /YAFTV for 10% off. But literally, it would be part of this cleansing machine where it crosses the blood-brain barrier, getting into all the cells in the brain and carrying the garbage out, the heavy metals, etc. Methylene blue, it stops the biosyn clotting, okay, that happens in the body. And then malic acid you get from apples. Eat a bunch of apples, it has hydrogen. It helps to fight that deuterium thing I was talking about last month. And then she really recommends EDTA for dissolving nanoparticles. The chelation agents are very important. She uses EDTA with vitamin E, C, and malic acid. And EDTA also thins the blood and removes metal particles. And EDTA is basically a natural solvent in a way, and it's a chelation agent. The FDA and everybody's always trying to screw with it, trying to stop EDTA from being out there because they know that Big Pharma owns them, and that in the patents, what literally Dr. Anna Milicia is saying, that in the patents for things like the quantum tattoo, all these tattoo vaccine patents that are out there, it says specifically in their own patents and in their own studies that these things will dissolve the efficacy, the ability for these quantum tattoos or vaccine delivery systems to be able to function properly. And so this is huge, and I will link a great video below where you can watch it all yourself. Basically, she said that at Rice University, they have the quantum the technology for the quantum dot tattoos, holding vaccine records that they mean to roll out in this next pandemic, which they're pushing for so hard. And it's really on each of us, okay? It's on each of us, just like it's on each of us to celebrate that we got out McConnell, McCarthy, McDaniel, that we were doing the heavy lifting. We have to do the heavy lifting with our health. You have to think of the destination, where you're going. You have to envision it and see it. Part of that is you in perfect health. And that is taking the steps to get there. And to not be in denial, to not pretend that this isn't affecting you, but to take the active work and get this crap out of your body. Okay, so that humanity can remain humanity, and that we can, do as God said, we're supposed to heal ourselves, right? As Jesus Christ said, you will do what I do, even better, even more. And that is, of course, central in Christ's mission on earth, was to heal people. And we can heal ourselves, and it is upon us to do so, to stop the Internet of Bodies, to stop the interrogation of your body from a satellite system, to stop this intra-body nano network. It really depends on all of us taking action to use this health information to take it out of our bodies so that we are not behaving in the ways they want us to behave. Okay, so it doesn't affect our consciousness, it doesn't affect our behavior, doesn't limit our ability to organize. We need to get it out. And so it's on each of us to do so. And I will connect below how you can watch that video and see all the health threads you can follow to do that for yourself. And I do recommend c60evo.com/YAFTV, 10% off YAFTV, the code, literally to get into your neurons, across the blood-brain barrier, and take the garbage out. Okay? And so we had today, of course, Hunter Biden. This will be my final thing. Hunter Biden did meet for sworn testimony there in the Oversight Committee in the House, and Matt Gaetz had to say this about it. Basically, it was like listening to a Hunter Biden saying that he was managing money funneling operation into the Biden crime family and Chinese and Ukrainian oligarchs, but I'm on the road to recovery, and I blame my drug addiction for improper business dealings. That's basically what Gaetz had to say, is that Hunter's testimony sounds like, hey, you should take pity on me. I'm a recovering drug addict. I had all these business dealings. My father wasn't directly involved. I didn't mean it. I was on drugs. I mean, what I just said, it's so crazy. And this is while Johnson, our very, less than ideal Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, makes this deal for a continuing resolution in the House to keep the government open past Friday. Little minibus is coming up, 202-225-3121, billblashersapp.org. Do your part, because we're making a difference. Okay, all of these calls, all these emails, all these texts are making a difference. And, we did get McConnell stepping down. Very interesting. Right after this. We don't know. We don't know what happened because no one was there. No one was there. That matters. But yeah, what Gaetz had to say was with Hunter Biden is that the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, which is the law, absolutely, details how family members cannot receive gifts or money of a politician through a bribery, influence, and peddling scheme. And of course, we know that Joe Biden had 17 different aliases, names that were used, and that's how they were able to track, finally, all the corresponding email accounts related to those 17 names, as well as the banking related to it, and all of the IRS shutting down of, the DOJ shutting down the IRS attempt to investigate all of the multiple hundreds of bank warning reports of bogus activity on these accounts. And while Biden is now said to be fit for duty, okay, out of Walter Reed, his doctor at Walter Reed, he's healthy as a horse. He's fit for activity. As McConnell is like, no, dude, I'm done. I'm done. Should have term limited me a few terms ago. But yeah, so this is it. And I think I'll close it out with this, which is in California. There's so much in California I could talk about, but I'm just going to talk about this. You remember how they were like, we're giving reparations. We decided, we voted. Thanks for your votes, by the way, all of you African Americans in California. Thanks for the votes to keep Newsom and the Democrat machine going. But yeah, we can't do those reparations. We decided we can't do the reparations. There's no money. There's no money coming. But hey, here's a big apology. We're so sorry for the discrimination. Okay, sorry for the discrimination you suffered. So that is what you get, okay, from the party of the Ku Klux Klan, the Democrat Party. They say one thing, they do another, and that is just rich out of California. So, okay, I'm going to leave it there. We're going to end this up. Thanks so much for watching. We're huge days, okay? McConnell resigns. We get the Michigan results, right? Super Tuesday will be on Tuesday. tomorrow I'm putting up a video, really interesting, thought-provoking interview with a woman who works for NASA, aerospace engineer, and then I'll be back on Super Tuesday. We had Michigan, of course, the massive win by Trump, okay, over Haley Doy. She's still fundraising, she's still going. But Super Tuesday, it's going to be done and shut down, and that's going to be the retirement of Ronna McDaniel, the takeover Laura Trump, and the second in line. I'll get into him on Tuesday. We'll talk about him because there's some deep diving. He's he's been doing the bidding of the deep state a lot, so not really clear, if that's not psyched about that. But we're going to see what's going to happen here. It's going to be a huge week next week, and we just have to stay the course and do our part. And your part, I hope, is in your communities, running for office, running for school board, running for all of it. I hear Brian Stelter, okay, CNN fired Brian Stelter, is now running for school board. Is it school board or town council? I think it's school board. Is it town council? City commissioner? I don't know. I have to look at it again. He's running for something in New Jersey. I think it's actually school board. It's really weird. I can't remember right now. Brian Stelter, fired by CNN for being a total lump. So they're doing it. So I hope you're doing it too, running for what you feel called to do by God. Because you just say, put me in, God, put me in, coach, show me where you want me to go. It might not be exactly what I had been planned for myself, but as soon as I listen to you, as I pray, as I start to hear, that divine voice, okay, and I watch the signs and wonders you put in front of me, I know which way I'm supposed to go, right? And so listen to the Lord and take action, whichever way it is, okay? PrecinctStrategy.com, we still have massive amounts of precinct leaders needed, all kinds of stuff in the GOP and the RNC needed. With this takeover that's going to happen and turn over as Ronna McDaniel leaves next week, we're going to need huge amounts of new players. So go to project2025.org and get vetted. They need 3,000 new non-DC players, non-swamp members, as they sweep McConnell out of the swamp, the big creature from the Black Lagoon. They're going to need people who aren't from DC to be part of project2025.org to embody the populist incredible fight against the globalist cartel Babylon. And it's happening, and we're part of it. So I'm so glad to be with you today. I hope you got something from this video. If it was added value and you want to support the channel, there are ways to do so below, and I so appreciate it. Truly, you keep this channel going. The more support I can get, the more videos I can do. So tomorrow you'll get this great interview from this great NASA scientist. Very interesting, thought-provoking. I want to hear your remarks. And then I'll be back on Super Tuesday, and we'll shake it down. Okay, so I'll see you then. You are free. Do everything you can to support your own freedom. You are the one, okay, called upon to be free inside you. It's up to you, okay? And I know you can do it. I believe in you. You're free.